For over 10 years, Lara Croft has been one of the most well-known gaming icons, with a disproportionate figure and dual-wielding pistols. In 2013, the Tomb Raider series was rebooted for a second time, introducing a darker theme and a grittier universe, where conspiracy and death lurk around every corner. As part of this change, Lara's signature weapon changes from pistols akimbo to, well, a bow. And it is this image of Lara Croft that is being used in the marketing of the current series. And it isn't just another ranged weapon. The bow is an integral part of the gameplay, being used as both a weapon and a utility tool. How does Lara go from gunslinging to arrow slinging? Lara ends up being stranded on the lost island kingdom of Yamatai with nothing but her wits. To survive, Lara finds a makeshift bow from a long rotten corpse and immediately puts it to use to hunt for food. While I normally leave the analysis for later, I do want to point out that an old branch strung with an improvised string left in the jungle for hundreds of years is probably going to snap the moment you pull it back. Avoid ancient bows and lost kingdoms where possible. As the story progresses, Lara is able to obtain better equipment and upgrade her bow. The makeshift bow is upgraded to a rather nice looking recurve bow. Later, Lara receives a compound bow, which is further upgraded into a competition bow. With salvage parts, Lara is also able to improve the stats and functionality of her bows, including strengthening the limbs for damage, using a key ring as an improvised release, and other improvements to shooting speed and accuracy. While Lara soon acquires a pistol, the bow never leaves her side. It is her weapon of choice in cutscenes. Even in gameplay, the bow is used for a range of different purposes. By combining the bow with a lighter, Lara can ignite her arrows, which can later be upgraded into a napalm arrow that spreads flame to impact. The bow can be used with rope arrows to pull enemies from high ground, form a zip line to cross vantage points, and solve puzzles. Lastly, the player has the option of crafting explosive arrows coming in the form of grenade tip arrows. I don't think these are competition legal, though it might make the Olympics a bit more interesting. While many games feature the bow as a long-range weapon, Tomb Raider keeps the combat within close distances. Arrows have a limited effective range, and from the player's perspective, the arrow flies perfectly straight. This allows Lara to use the bow as an improvised single-shot assault weapon, but with rapid reloading. In gameplay terms, the bow acts as a bolt-action rifle. Holding the fire button charges the bow, with Lara drawing it further back for increased damage. This is largely unnecessary, as headshots are instant kills regardless of power, and you're probably better off shooting quick shots against enemies instead of slow power shots. The enemies do react to being hit by arrows, so doing follow-up shots is smooth and instinctive. At some points, the bow can be used as a stealth weapon. However, enemies who are killed will alert nearby foes. Lara can sense the threat with the survival instinct, and the player can pick off isolated enemies. Doing so in some sections avoids firefights against numerically superior groups, though there's never really a sense of Lara being a stealth assassin that can win the game solely through long-range shooting. The game's cover shooter mechanics and weaponry lean towards the action sequences. The stealth advantage is negated by the optional silencer upgrades for the pistol and rifle, making the bow mostly redundant in combat. Despite the availability of better weapons, the bow still retains a place in combat if the player opts to upgrade it, with the most useful upgrade being armor-piercing arrows. This allows the player to bypass enemy body armor and restore the one-hit headshots against helmeted foes. Lastly, Lara makes extensive use of arrows as melee weapons. She is able to put a premature end to the ambitions of would-be adventurers by stabbing them in the knee. Unlocking bow mastery, Lara can execute finishing blows using vicious stabs through the throat. Lara isn't the only one who is proficient in combat archery either. Most of the inhabitants of the island are also armed with bows. The AI tends to pitch these as slow shooting grunts, but getting hit by an arrow can take a chunk out of your health. Now comes the part that many of you look forward to. How much of this is real? While playing through Tomb Raider, nothing really bothered me. It was a fun experience and the bow was incorporated into the gameplay without looking like something wholly fantastical. However, as Tomb Raider never featured a bow, many players come out of the game with an assumption that the things Lara does are plausible. In fact, nearly everything about archery in Tomb Raider is just outside the realm of possibility. The way Lara carries the bow on her back is not very practical. While it is possible with a recurve bow, this would definitely not be possible with a compound bow. Compound bows have more complex cable systems that you wouldn't stick your head through, not to mention that the pressure of the string and the block you riser squeezing your torso would be highly uncomfortable. The straight fast flight of the arrow is not possible from the bows in the game. It may be possible for modern compound bows, but arrows do drop even at short distances. Pulling back further on the bow does indeed increase power, though a real bow doesn't require a charge up time to get full power. The stealth kill ability is impossible to pull off. The string phases through the enemy's head and somehow a smaller, weaker Lara can use a bow to snap the neck of a large male gunman. You can't hold a lighter in your bow hand to shoot fire arrows. Arrow points don't burn like that. If you have to know, you would need a special arrowhead that contains a flammable material, and there's a high chance of the flame being extinguished in flight. Grenade tip arrows wouldn't work. They would be too front heavy to fly far and would probably drop around 10 meters in front of you. Even rope arrows wouldn't work. Arrows are extremely light, so having the weight of rope on the back would simply pull it out of the air. In real life, a similar function is used in bow fishing, but you couldn't launch an arrow across a chasm to form a zipline. Most of the upgrades are nonsensical. Having a plaited string or adding a stabilizer would not increase damage in any way. And if Lara shot a compound bow like that in real life, she'd probably derail the string, rendering the bow useless. Generally speaking, recurve bows are more practical in the field, as a compound bow cannot be repaired without specialized equipment. The advantage of a compound bow is that it can launch an arrow with high velocity at a given draw weight. Everything you see in the game is a typical action movie trope, and frankly, I didn't mind. It was easy for me to distinguish the liberties taken to make the bow an integral part of the game. The Tomb Raider reboot has cast a new light on Lara's character, and in doing so has made the bow the new signature weapon of a gaming icon. While many sections of the game are better served by other weapon options, it is perfectly viable to complete the entire game with the bow. It can be challenging, but also offers some advantages. Being able to use the bow to navigate across the map and access more areas makes it something you never forget about, and to the testament of the designers, it never really feels out of place. Tomb Raider therefore stands out as a fan favourite for the inclusion of archery. As usual, shoot straight and aim for your best.